Condos are in an interesting place right now where it doesn't seem like buyers and sellers can really agree on how to appropriately value properties. Understanding a bit more about the history of San Francisco real estate, what's going on in the economy right now, and who a typical condo owner is can help us navigate through all that. Before we get into the meat of the conversation, if you want to get these updates as soon as I post them, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. Otherwise, you may be receiving them from my newsletter or some other source with a bit of a delay. Of course, in real estate, timing means a lot. Let's get into what's going on in the market. Before Uber and Airbnb, the idea of Silicon Valley mostly spoke to the area about 30 miles south of San Francisco. All of a sudden, social media, e-commerce, on-demand services, web analytics, and other applications started to sit on top of mobile and desktop web, giving way to hundreds of billions of dollars in software valuations. Offices became more like dorms, and cities became the new hotspots for tech companies. Couple that with all the IPOs in 2019, you had a lot of new people in San Francisco, all increasing their wealth very rapidly. At the same time, the city itself is surrounded by water. Permitting new construction takes forever. The Golden Gate and Bay Bridge and 101 are perpetually backed up. BART service can be spotty with rides paid by the mile, not a flat rate like at the NYC subway. And Caltrain is limited in reach. So in this cauldron, you have a ton of newly wealthy people needing and wanting to be in a certain place, a limited ability to get from outside that place to the place, and not enough housing in the place. What do you think is going to happen to condo prices? Then comes 2020, and suddenly it is the night of the living dead. The defining characteristic of COVID was that people wanted to be as far away from other people as possible. No one was buying SF condos. In fact, people were leaving for Marin, the East Bay, Peninsula, Sacramento, and trying to decide what to do with their property in the city. No one was renting because offices were shut down. Everyone was working from home, even young people coming out of college. In early 2021, when it seemed like things were getting a bit under control and interest rates were really low, condos started selling, but only in those neighborhoods people wanted to be in. Soma, Mission Bay's new construction, all of that stuff, that sat idle. While other neighborhoods like the Castro, Cole Valley, Pack Heights, and Russian Hill, they started to come back to life. Then, of course, the Fed decided that inflation was just too damn high and pumped the brakes on cheap loans. So the comeback stopped short. Not only that, but stock prices started to fall. Google, Facebook, Twitter, other major San Francisco employers started to lay people off. People started to worry about their jobs, their net worth, and prices came back down. Shifting from the market and thinking a bit more about the average SF condo owner's psychology, condos aren't as permanent of a place to live as a single family home, and they don't typically offer you a ton of opportunity to add value. Sure, you can update the kitchen and bath. Honestly, that's lipstick. You can't really add square footage. The San Francisco condo buyer that drove the market up was really looking to be in place for maybe 2, maybe 5 years before starting a family and moving into a house. Given the limited improvements that you can make, that buyer's fate was pretty tied to the value of the land. When they were buying, these owners decided that they were going to take a really hefty chunk of their savings and put it into this one asset. So now they're looking at stagnating prices and doing the math, which says something like, if I sell for what I bought, and have to pay 6% in commissions and transfer taxes, I'm just losing a ton of money, which, that's real. And that sucks. If you assume that the typical buyer put 20% down, a 6% cut in price represents a 30% loss. Never mind the money they've been paying in property taxes, mortgage interest, and HOA dues, which generally we chalk up to rent equivalents anyway. Compounding layer is that even if a seller is thinking to themselves, they might want to sell this year, the good news that's been coming out of the real estate market and really all markets this year is making sellers think twice about taking that haircut in the near term. There's a hope that if they hold on for a few more months, prices will come back to where they bought and they won't have to take a haircut at all. Just last week, I had a client submit a very clean offer at a price that would have made this sale the highest priced 2-bed condo in the neighborhood in the last 18 months. And the sellers, they didn't take it because they didn't want to lose any money. What was more interesting about that specific situation was that the sellers didn't even have a loan. So even if they took the 6% haircut on fees and taxes, they could have put their proceeds into a 1-year treasury and basically earned their money back within a year, given where rates are. Instead, they're choosing to be landlords in San Francisco, which has its downsides, but does allow them to take advantage of depreciation, taxable losses in a way that they wouldn't be able to in their primary residence. They'll just wait things out from there. To bring things home, I still believe it's a decent time to buy in San Francisco and that we're closer to the bottom than we are to the top. That said, there's a bit of a stalemate. Buyers who weren't buying when all the bad news was scaring them aren't necessarily willing to pay the prices sellers want now that the news is starting to get better, because those buyers maintain that the situation just isn't all that good anyway. Sellers, of course, are taking their cues from Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber and holding on to that one chance. So what breaks the stalemate? Either it's a trend of good news or a trend of bad news. All we can do is wait. All that said, there are a few keen ways of identifying properties on Redfin or Zillow that are more likely to actually sell than not. And if you're interested in getting some of those insights, shoot me an email to the address that's been flashing on your screen. I'm happy to help you think through.